Hi, friends. This year, Martin from Knit365 blog and I decided to collaborate and put our forces together. And we're going to do the Mystery Knit Along by Stephen West together on both of our channels. As part of this collaboration, I'm creating a series that I'm calling Humans of Westknits Mystery Knit Along 2022. And today I'm introducing you the third chapter of this installment. If you haven't watched the first two, please go and watch it. You'll meet wonderful people. And if you follow them on Instagram, please say hi from Fiberchats. So you've been like very busy with all your designing, huh?
Yeah, the designing, I have a lot of work, like, yeah.
You know what I must tell you? Like, I feel like you are my protege child. Like, I'm so proud of you because I'm like, I've seen you grow like in front of my eyes. So I'm like, every time I see your post, I'm like, oh my God, this is my girl here.
It is, it's true, because only when we started talking, then people started to follow me. And yeah, you were like my first stepping stone outside, I think.
Oh, I'm
Thank
glad.
you.
Well, let's talk about Stephen West. So
Yeah.
what attracts you specifically to Stephen West designs?
So I love the colors. It's like, I love the fact that every color you take, it works. You know, you don't have to think too much. And I love the way he teaches the everything so clearly. So everyone can, can join, because you don't have to be such a advanced knitter.
Right.
Yeah, to do it.
Yeah, but then, okay, hold on. When it
Yeah.
comes to your designs, your first design was in Persia. Like, I mean, you don't play around. You jump deep end in and you like go for the most difficult techniques on the planet. Like nothing intimidates you. How does it attract you to the fact that it's like for everybody, his designs?
Because it looks complicated, you see. That's the brilliance of Stephen West. The brilliance of doing something that looks like, oh my God, I would never be able to do it. But when you do it, you see that it's not that hard. I think it's brilliant. And it's really a celebration of textures and colors, and I love it.
Well, when you're thinking about like his color aesthetics, right? Like the usual Stephen West, like his original colors, are those like colors that you would pick?
Yeah, I mean, the craziest, I don't like the neons. He uses a lot of neons, but I love to mix and match unexpected color combinations. Whenever it's like obvious, I would say boring, so I would choose something else.
Well, you in Israel, so this is like a hot country. How do you find so many people who are joining you for this Mystery Knit Along in Israel?
Yeah, it's only the beginning of fall. We're still very hot. I'm hot, but I had to put it on because, Stephen West. I'm very hot now. But I think even in hot weathers, when you knit, you are addicted. It doesn't matter. You have to knit. It's like something your hands have to do it. So people, and I was surprised to see that not many people know Stephen West here. He's not such a, rock star here.
Yet.
And yet. True. And yeah, we had to explain, but last year was the first time that I did the Mystery Knit Along with him, and to see everyone post their progress and the colors, and to be a part of the celebration, that that everyone around the world is doing it. I think it's an experience that I really wanted people to have here. And so I joined another friend who is a very she is one of the teachers in Israel, and I wanted her to be here now, but she couldn't. And we're going to, just to be managers of the event, and
So
to have.
tell me more, like tell me how you plan it, how you gonna do it in Israel.
So we wanted to have a big Zoom, like the biggest Zoom can allow us, and to see the clue, to have the Zoom right when the clue is coming out, like, so no one can see it before, and then all together. And one of the limitations that we had, it's free for everyone to join, but they have to buy the pattern, of course. So we know that everyone has the pattern, so it's safe. And we don't record it because we don't want to spoil, to have spoilers. But we watch together all the clues. We have a panel of about 10 people that are just knitters or yarn dyers, or, from all the people that we know. And everyone is watching together, and we comment and we do it together. And, it seems like such a fun.
Well, okay, so are you team kit or team stash? Did you buy kit?
I never team kit. I always I start with what I have, and then I just add, like I am missing now one color, the pop color. So I'm gonna just find my pop color and buy it. Yeah.
Well, do you have like a rough idea of what color combination you're going with?
I have a speckled blue brown yarn, and I want the blue to be the contrast. It's pretty light, so it's gonna be a very turquoise bluish with a light speckled. And then the pop, I think I'm going for orange, or that's the obvious, you see, that's the orange because it has brown. But then I thought maybe I'm going for green, like yellowish green, like very bright green.
I mean, what are the chances of you changing your mind on October 6th?
Yeah, 99%. I'm gonna see.
That's my problem. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go with that. Well, unless I'm gonna go with that. So
exactly. And then you see something someone else picked, and you say, oh no, that's the perfect one, because I'm not a blue person.
Right.
So when I think of it, like, do I really have the garments to go with it? I don't know.
I mean, when you knit and you're thinking of, like, do you think about what garment you're going to wear it with, or are you attracted to design by itself, or do you think of it in terms of wardrobe?
Yeah, to the design. I love the design, and I pick the color that I am attracted to at the moment, and then I have problems. But I also sew my own garments. So I usually say, okay, so I knitted this, now I need something to go with it. So I'm going to sew something. Yeah.
Well, since I interviewed you and you were like among the original gangsters, as Professor Pearl called it, like one of the earlier people that I interviewed, so much change in your life, right? You became a YouTuber, you stopped your career in high tech and you became a full-time knitwear designer. You're on the cover of Vogue Knitting. I mean,
not the cover. I'm in the Vogue.
Well, next step, okay? Like, and it hasn't even been a year since I interviewed you.
Yeah.
What do you think is happening next year?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something strange about entrepreneurs. And I think you know it because you are sort of. But it's like you have a goal and you reach it. And it's not that exciting anymore because you have the greater goal now. So it's like, so last year, it's like, did this. And right? It's hard to stop and really see what's happening only when I talk to people and I see that, like, it's only been 3 months since I didn't lose my job. I quit my job because I have a goal to open a creative space here in Israel for knitters to come and do like creative knitting and have people to like a sort of a library when you come, and you have the ones that you can ask questions, but you also have your own space to create. That's like my dream, and that's what where I'm going to for. And I'm proud to say that I got like my followers here as a teacher, because I just started teaching.
Right.
And so I'm designing and I'm teaching, and I forgot the question now.
So the question is what we're going to be talking next year when we talk about mystery
So
next year. Are we going
it will be in the space, it will be in my my center, my knitting center, and we will say hello to you from
you know what, if you're opening that center, we're not going to be talking over Zoom. I'm coming to the center to visit you.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah.
So how did you first stumble on Westknit? Because you're relatively a new knitter, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty new because I was a longtime crocheter. So for years now, almost 15 years. But for knitting, I stumbled on it through the historical costuming community. So through that's how I found
like
knitting.
An unlikely place to meet Stephen West.
Well, I found knitting through there, and then I started following new knitters and like following people online and things. And I don't know how I found it, but it just popped up on my YouTube recommendeds. It was for the Slipstravaganza. And I was like, ooh.
Well, was that the reaction? Were you like intimidated at all? Because it doesn't look simple.
I wasn't really intimidated because I watched the Slipstravaganza videos before I even did the shellography mystery knit along, and I realized it looks complicated, but it's just, if you can knit, if you can purl, if you can make one and like knit two together, you're fine, because he'll explain everything else.
Right. And even there are so many videos on YouTube that will teach you those techniques that I feel like anybody who really puts their mind to it can do it.
Yeah, so I just kind of stumbled upon his stuff, and I love, like, the thing that like attracted me to his work is the color, the use of color, because while I wear all black like most of the time, I like to knit with color, not just because black knitting hurts my eyes, but that it's a fun way to have color, and like I can wear all black and then have this like crazy colored shawl and it be a full outfit or something like that. You can just throw it on and it matches everything.
Well, how do you think, like when you think of yourself as a knitter before you discovered Westknits, right, and knitter that you are today, what's different?
I'd say I'm more open to new techniques and new stitches and new stitch patterns, because jumping into the shellography, I was like, I don't know what's going to come at me. So like week one, oh, guess I'm learning German short rows now, guess I'm doing these weird shrimps. Guess I'm learning I-cord. So like the first week I'm learning like 3 new techniques. And then we get to the brioche section and I go, oh. I was like, oh no, what have I done? But then I was like, I looked at the non-brioche option and I was like, I like the brioche better though. So
how was that? Like, how did brioche treat you?
Not bad, but not great.
Well, first time I was trying brioche, it took me 18 tries, and I'm not exaggerating. It was actually on the 18th try that I finally got it, but it was 18 tries of making a mistake at some point. And at one point it was like almost 3/4 of a scarf and I still couldn't fix the mistake. So I had to unravel it and start over. But on the 18th try, it just clicked. So now like brioche and I are friends,
I think for me, it was I just went really slow and I like watched the video and I would pause after one step and I'd do that one step and then I'd play, watch it, then do that next step. So the brioche part probably took me the longest of all of it. There's a couple of messed up spots where like the backside color is on the front side accidentally, but I was like, I'm not unpicking this. I'm just not dealing with it. We're just gonna not deal with it today.
In general, when you knit, how kind are you to your mistakes? Like, is the perfectionist inside of you screaming to fix it, or you go like, oh, whatever, it's just one of those things, it's gonna get lost in overall patterning?
I think that for me, some mistakes are like glaring and I have to fix them. But some mistakes, I'm like, I'm not doing that again. Just the Jack Sparrow is like, did you see that? Because I'm not doing that again. Which I really felt that on the border of this, because there's actually one point where I have the wrong order. You can see right here, it's supposed to go yellow, pink, and then up here it goes pink, yellow. And I was like 3 stripes away from that. And I went, oh. And then I was like, I'm not doing it. We'll just leave it. No one will notice until I tell the whole internet.
No one will notice. Well, you are a fellow YouTuber. You have your own YouTube channel. When you watch Steven, is he a source of ideas, inspiration as far as your YouTube career going?
I'd say the way that he films things, especially the way, like the angles of like the way that he gets his hands in frame and the way that he shows it in the lighting is definitely inspirational. Because one thing, so the main thing that has gotten me most of my subscribers is I used to do beading videos for beaded keychains, and those just blew up. I don't know how, but they're like being shown in home ec classrooms in Brazil. Like I was like, what? But that really blew up. And the way I was doing that was I had my laptop on an iPad stand, like almost falling onto my hands, like onto my desk. And the lighting was bad. And the only angle I could get it, it would almost make me sick to look at it because it was slightly tilted the wrong way. So like, I need like an arm for a camera or something. That's why I've not done any tutorials when it comes to knitting, crochet, sewing. I have done sewing tutorials. They weren't very good, but I've done them. And people want more beading videos, and I'm like, that's not going to happen till I figure these angles out. But
well, okay, let me ask you like a provocative question. You have your own channel, you have your own fan base. Why Joanne Martin and me?
Well, one, y'all are so nice and so fun. And I feel like my subscriber base is very varied. I have people who followed me because they like my personality. They like how odd I am. My YouTube channel is a variety channel. I kind of put whatever the heck I want on there because I can't handle having like 6 channels, one for gaming, one for, taste tests or whatever. So I have people who followed me for vegan taste tests. I have people who followed me for the beading. I have people who followed me because they're my friends or whatever. So I have such a wide variety of people. So it's just nice to be with that niche of knitters that like Westknits knitting versus, the wide variety of people that follow me.
Well, if you had a chance to like sit down and have lunch with Steven, is there like some questions that you would be interested to know?
I don't know if there would be like any one question other than how do you churn so much knitting out? Like, how does it just, how? I mean, I feel like the big part of the how is he does it full time. It's his job versus me working a 9 to 5 and trying to fit all of my hobbies in.
Right.
So, but I'm just like, how do you just churn out so much of that and like all these samples and all of these, like, it just seems to come out of nowhere and so fast.
Is there like, is the mystery part attracts you or scares you?
I really like it. I know a lot of people don't like mystery knit-alongs or mystery anything like stitch-alongs or crochet-alongs because they're like, what if I don't like it? If I look at Steven's like Ravelry thing, I don't think there's a single pattern on there I wouldn't knit. I don't think there's a single one I wouldn't knit. So I trust him to do something crazy and fun, and I'll enjoy it. And worst comes to worst, I enjoy the process of knitting it and I sell it.
Well,
Are
you team kit or team stash this year?
Oh, I'm team stash all the way, because so I vary on what I have for a yarn budget. So last year I knitted this entirely from like this Charisma loops and threads from Michaels. So it was like $3.99 a ball, and one ball is like 600 yards of yarn in it. So that was, a much cheaper option, especially since that's the way I went last year, because I was like, I don't know if I'll like it, so I'll just knit with something cheap. This year I went to a yarn festival, like literally like the other day, like 2 days ago, and I did find my accent color, and I'm still debating on what I want to do for my main color and contrast color. So we'll see what happens with those. But I'm kind of like,
would you share the contrast color, the accent color?
So this is my,
can't go wrong with that.
With my accent color, I just decided to walk in. I would look at all the booths and just pick the one that called me, and it was this. It's coming off so much like less bright on camera, but this one's from Yarn Indulgences, which is a local Canadian dyer. I think she's even New Brunswick local, but so pretty.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I have a debate with myself about, I've got 2 other local hand-dyed yarns that I can get a second skein each for them. So I'm debating if those being my main color and contrast color, but I'm not 100% on it yet. So I have like this one from Sweet Skein Mine, which is like a pumpkin chai. Then this one from Lichen and Lace.
Actually, 3 of those would go gorgeously together.
Yeah, because I was like the orange and the blue, because they're like complementary colors on the color wheel. So I thought this kind of, because this has some like maroon that you can kind of see in here. So I was like, these are nice. And she's dyeing up another batch of this, and then Lichen and Lace, this is one of their regular colors they always keep. And it might not be from the same dye batch, but they do the same amounts of dye and stuff.
Right.
Close enough. That's my approach to knitting. Close enough. So I'm like, I have these 2, so all I would need to do is buy 2 more, and then we have this. So I'm debating between those 2 or doing like black and cream from Patton's Croy sock, because I like knitting with that.
Right.
So like doing a black and cream and then having this bright blue teal come in.
But that's the beauty of stash diving, because you can change your mind the last second, sort.
Exactly.
You can change your mind after the first clue comes out, and when you see what it's gonna
Hey,
look.
I've got enough that I could change my mind after 2 weeks if I really want to.
Right. Let's chat Stephen West.
Okay.
So
sure.
First of all, I want to talk about the knit-along that you started, and it's knit-along and crochet along. So tell me about that, and then we're gonna talk about how we can combine forces and how people who participate in my and Martin's little party here with Stephen West can join you as well.
I love it, because I love how everyone can sort of combine everything that they're doing into one, one single party. Right. So yeah, we just kicked off Monday, so the 12th of September, we kicked off season 2 of my End AIDS Knitalongs and Crochet Alongs, which are a series of 4 crochet alongs and knit-alongs throughout the year, which help raise money for AIDS Life Cycle, which is a charity bicycle ride that I do every year that raises money for 2 HIV/AIDS charities. So we just season 2 just kicked off this past Monday on the 12th. We're working on the knitting side. We have Fatima Hines, who's disturbing the fleece on Instagram, a hat and cowl set called It's Winter Somewhere hat and cowl set. So we're working on that on the knitting side. On the crocheting side, Leanne Parenti has designed a shawl called the Sweet Shadow Wrap. And so we're working on both of those things. And for each of these events throughout the year, portions of the pattern sales and the yarn kit sales. So for the knitting this time, Ross, from who I know you've spoken to before, Ross from Twisted Ambitions Yarn, he designed the yarn kits for the knit pattern, and Ava from Seismic Yarn did the kits for the crochet pattern. So portions of the kit sales and the pattern sales all go to help the fundraising for AIDS Life Cycle. But someone, I can't even remember who, someone in one of our Zoom calls that we had done, that we do every Tuesday evening, had said, oh, the fall is so difficult because, you know, Joji Locatelli has her knit along and Stephen West has his mystery knit along. And there's just so many things. It feels like everyone comes back from the summer and is ready to knit again. And so there's so many activities. And, you know, I'd love to help and participate in your thing, but I have all these other commitments. And so someone came up with the idea, and it wasn't me, but I'm thankful for whoever did. They said, why don't you create a way for people to work on whatever it is they want to work on, whether it's the Westknits mystery knit along or something else, but still be part of this community that you've built around the End AIDS knit alongs and crochet alongs, and be part of the giveaways and all that. So what we did was come up with the Wildcard Division. So basically, if anyone either buys any of the patterns that we're doing for our knit along, so the Fatima's pattern or Leanne's pattern, or buys any of the yarn kits and just emails me the receipt, then they get entered into this Wildcard Division where they can work on whatever they want. If for whatever reason they don't think they'll ever make any of those patterns, or whatever reason they don't want to do it that way, they can also just go to my coffee page and buy a ticket, a wildcard ticket, and then they get entered into that. So they're still participating. They're still helping me with my fundraising. There's a whole separate group of giveaways that's just for the wildcard people. So they'll have their own, you know, and it's going to be really fun. I think I'm already, you know, seeing people who are working on projects that patterns I've never even heard of, which I think is half the fun for me, is to discover new patterns from new designers. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be fun, and it's really worked out well. We have, you know, almost 30 people who are doing just the wildcard division. So that's going to be a good result, I think. So
and this wildcard division, they can enter until when?
Basically anytime. I'm not putting, I mean, you know, one of the things about my knit alongs and crochet alongs is I try to keep it very flexible and kind of whatever works for anyone. So they can join, you know, basically anytime. I would say that probably the sooner the better, because every time you post a picture that's tagged with the tag, it counts as an entry into the giveaways. So, and we do 5 rounds of giveaways between the kickoff, which was September 12th. It'll run through November 12th. So if you want to post a picture every day, fantastic, because every one of those pictures gets entered into the giveaway. So the sooner the better, but they could join up until, I guess, November 11th if they really wanted to.
Right. I actually love this idea because I feel like it makes it possible for everyone, because like when I first heard, it was the same thought. I was like, well, but I'm doing this thing, so
Right.
how I'm gonna do both? And this is like perfect way to do both, to help you out and to participate in Stephen West Mystery Knit-along. So
yeah, it was totally by happenstance, because, you know, when we started, or when I started the knit-alongs last year, the first one didn't start until after the mystery knit-along. So we started with Brooklyn Boy Knits, but it started in November, and because I wanted to try to do four this year and spread them out a little bit more, because I felt really rushed to get them done, and I like to keep them for 2 months, because I feel like that creates a much more low-key kind of easy project for people. So we moved it forward. I wanted to get it to end before Thanksgiving, because one of the things I didn't want to do again is run into the Christmas holidays, because that becomes a whole another thing. So it just became this challenge of like, how early can I start it? Don't want to run too much into the end of summer, because everyone's still away on vacation. But then I set the dates and thought I had done such a great job. And then so many people were like, oh, but I had this thing planned, and there's this knit along I want to do. And so this was kind of a way to compromise and let people to have the best of both worlds, hopefully. So
you are knitting also the mystery knit along this year, right?
Yeah, I am. It's gonna be a challenge. The good news is, because I needed to knit a sample for my knit along. The hat, at least part of the hat and cowl set, is already done. So that's one project that's kind of done. So I'm starting to work on the crochet project, and I have started the cowl, but it's going to be a little slower. It's a Christmas gift, so if it goes a little late, that's okay. But I am going to do the mystery knit-along. I've already picked up my yarn. It's ready and waiting for me to
Are you team kit or team stash?
Team stash. So I don't know if you saw recently when I hit 4,000 followers on Instagram, I did a giveaway which was shop my stash, and we decided on fingering what yarn the guy who won, and we spread it out all over the bed, and it made me very happy to see all the yarn together, but it also made me a little embarrassed about how much it was there. So the problem though with the Stephen West one this time is having two skeins of 2 different yarns, because I have a ton of fingering weight yarn, but I tend to only buy one here, one there, and so I didn't have a lot of like double skeins, but I was able to put it together. And actually it's the palette is not too different from your Starflake in the background. So I have it's a gray with actually the maroon is kind of my accent color. So I'm going to be interested to see what it looks like, because he keeps showing Starflake as kind of the model of what to think about, and I've never done anything that's that dramatically contrasty. So it'll be interesting. It's only my second one. Last year was my very first Mr. Knit-along. So
well, it's actually my first one, so I'm totally like,
oh, you didn't do it last year?
I have never done it. I'm always like, I mean, the shows that I've knitted that were part of the mystery knit-along, I knitted after the mystery was over. And
do you not like, is it the mystery part that scares you?
It's not the mystery part that scares me. I'm just too impatient to wait for the next clue. So I'm waiting until the last clue is published, and then I'm jumping right in. Like, I don't care about what it looks like. I know Steven can never disappoint me. Like, I love everything he creates. So for me, it's just like my impatience doesn't let me sit and wait until the next clue comes out. So this is going to be the first time.
I only got to be impatient for like the first clue. So the first one I was like, oh wow, I finished this one so quickly, and then very, very, very quickly after that, in the last, I did not finish technically on time last year, just because that last section on last year's Mystery Knit-along was really, really long. But yeah, it's fun. I think it's such a great idea. I kind of like the mystery aspect of it, and you never know. It's a little different this year because you only have 3 colors that are playing together. Last year, I think the real challenge was I picked 5 colors that I loved when I started, and I tried to, organize them the way he suggested. But when I started, for the first 2 or 3 clues, I was really not loving the way that it was coming together, because it was a lot more of one color that was not my favorite of the ones I picked. But by the end, I loved it. So it really worked out.
So your team kit basically, but the local kit.
Well, actually, it's funny. I watched the video with you and Martin about that, and it's funny because I'm kind of like on both sides. So I'm not so much kit as like I've never bought a kit from Stephen West, because I'm just not fast enough, and I'm just not. But what I do like to do is I like to watch his video on putting together your color palette and getting ideas from like what color palettes he's put together himself or his team. And what I actually do is I'll take a color palette from them, and I'll make my own, essentially, either from yarn from a local yarn shop or from a dyer that I just know and already love. So so this year, that's what I did.
Do you remember like first time seeing Stephen West pattern and thinking, oh, I have to knit that?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I loved the Starflake shawl. That was like, oh my gosh, I have to knit that. And then I started getting into brioche, and I realized he has brioche in most of his shawl patterns and other things. So, and then I just started really getting into that. So I think it was specifically the Starflake shawl that I was
Oh,
like,
that shawl.
I have to knit that shawl. So
What were your colors for the star flakes?
I actually have it. I picked, oh gosh, I can't remember which dyer it was, but I want to say hedgehog fibers. So I picked,
Oh, that's dramatic. I love that.
yeah, so I picked this kind of like bright yellow color called boa from hedgehog fibers. And then this sort of dark, it's actually more gray than black. I thought it was black, but it's more gray. But I actually think it works out really well. So I just kind of went like really bright and then kind of darker, if that makes any sense. So
Right.
those are the colors that I chose for that specifically.
Okay, so what colors did you pick for this year?
So this year I was looking at different palettes that he had, and I really, really like these sort of neutral tones this year. But I wanted my color pop to be orange. So like last year I chose green, and this year I'm doing orange. So I have like a light kind of brown color, almost tan, and then like an off-white color as sort of my main color and contrast color. And then I have this beautiful autumn looking orange, sort of pumpkin style orange. So it's not so much as like a poppy color, it's more of just kind of like a subdued palette this year for me. So
Is your dog a fan of brioche and stitch?
yeah, my little dog, I don't know if you saw him, but he is a fan of brioche and stitch. It's so funny because I tried to start Instagram for just him. His name is D'Artagnan, but he's afraid of the camera. So it didn't work out. But I knit him like a pupography. I think he called it. I knit him a pupography and everything. So he's got brioche sweaters actually. So he's a fan.
That's so cool. Well, like you're a YouTuber and Steven is a YouTuber.
Yeah.
When you watch his videos, is there some inspiration as to like, oh, I should do more of that, or like this is what he does brilliantly, or something like that? Like, when you watch him, is he a source of inspiration for you as far as YouTube goes?
Yeah, he is. What I really like about his videos, and I struggle with this with mine, is the timing of it. And I noticed he's very concise with his timing, and they're never over like 40 minutes long. So I think that that's really great. So that's a bit inspirational to me. I know that's a little bit like weird, but that's inspirational to me. And then as far as his knitting, I really love to hear about his mystery shawl or even just design process. I think that that's really inspirational because I've been wanting to do some design myself, but I've been sort of putting it on the back burner just because, I don't know, I guess I'm just scared of design a little bit. So it's really nice to hear someone like Steven talk about what his process is with that. It gives me a little bit more confidence in putting my design together. So.
Okay, well, I have to ask you this just because I'm always curious about other YouTubers. That day when you sat there for the first time and you started your first episode, what was that decision like? Like, how long did you think about doing it before you jumped into it? And why did you decide to do it?
Oh, I thought about it for a couple of months. So it wasn't super long, but I did think about it for a couple of months. And the day that I actually did it, it felt really weird. And that's interesting coming from me because I didn't share this on my YouTube channel, but I have acting experience. So I'm an actor. I've done theater and film and stuff like that. And so it was really interesting that I got like nervous in front of a camera just in my room. Like, that was weird that I got nervous about that. So I think it was just because it's like me doing it and instead of somebody else doing it with me. So
I can, like, honestly, it's the hardest thing ever. I
Yeah.
can talk to other people, like, no problem. As soon as it's me and that camera, I forget how to speak.
yeah, exactly. I don't know. I just forget. And I found that I have to like write notes now and not forget what I'm going to say. And yeah, so it's just a weird kind of thing, but I enjoyed it. So when I sat down to do my first one, I was nervous about it, and then I kind of got into the rhythm of it. I didn't want anyone else in my house hearing me talk on the video, which was like kind of funny. But
what's your plan for your channel during the Mystery Knit Along? Are you going to be covering like every clue?
Yeah, so this is gonna be my third MKAL and my second year filming my process of it. So I'm going to do it a little bit differently than this year, or last year rather, but I'm going to do every clue, I think, and then in between every clue. So I'm planning to do 2 videos a clue, essentially. And I'm going to try not to give too many spoilers on my channel, because I know last year I had a lot of them. So I'm trying not to do too many spoilers, just because I have a process of like, I'm going to film when the clue comes out.
Right.
So I'm going to do it that way.
How long have you been knitting in general?
I think I started in 2008 or 2009. I'm not sure exactly which it was. So it's been a while. But
do you think when you started knitting Steven's designs, do you think he made you a different knitter?
Yeah, he did, for sure. One of the things I've learned about Steven's designs is that there's always something new for me to learn. So, and that's sort of why I do the MKAL every year, is there's always something that I haven't done, even though it's been 10 plus years of me knitting. There's always something new for me to learn. So I picked up brioche for the first time with Stephen West in one of his cowls. And then I did it for his MKAL that one year. So yeah, there's always something new with Stephen, and he made me a faster knitter as well, as weird as that sounds. For the Starflake shawl, I know it was one of his MKALs, but I didn't knit it during the MKAL. I actually knit it, I think at the beginning of this year, and I knit it in like less than a month, which was crazy, but it made me a faster knitter. I feel like especially the Slipstravaganza shawl made me a better knitter. Coming out of that, I felt like, oh, I feel like I know everything now. Like I was like, ooh, I know everything now.
Well, do you think he's gonna surprise us this year? Do you think he's gonna throw some technique that none of us knows?
I hope so. I hope so. I'm not one to shy away from that. That's why I enjoy the MKAL every year. So I hope he does. Twists and turns has me thinking that maybe he'll do some cables, which I haven't done in quite a while. So that'll be cool. And I'm hoping that he'll have maybe a new technique with cables, which will be kind of neat.
Well, if you had like few hours to spend with Steven, what would you like to do?
I feel like I would just like to sit and talk to him. Steven actually reminds me of my best friend. I have a best friend, his name is Kyle, and we live in a different state from each other. And so I love watching Steven and hearing him talk because he reminds me of my best friend. So I just think that I think if I was alone with Steven, I would just like love to just sit and talk and have some drinks or something with Steven.
Do you think you can combine it with knitting, or do you think like you would be starstruck and just concentrate on talking?
No, I would probably do knitting. It's funny that you say that. My mom has actually met Steven a couple of times, and she met him at Knit Nights in Colorado. And so, yeah, I think we would probably spend knitting time doing it. And I'm hoping that if I were ever to meet him, that I could maybe learn something new from Steven when we're doing knitting, as far as like techniques and stuff like that. That would be really cool.
Well, tell me, like, you haven't knitted that long, right?
Not really. Well, I started getting back with knitting a few years ago, but I would be very sporadic. So it was maybe like 2015, 2016, and I would knit something. I would get upset because I get stuck or make a mistake, and then I would not knit for a few months. And actually, this is something I've been trying to overcome, how my tendencies to get like freeze or feel overwhelmed. I'm trying to change with knitting so that I can really just always be knitting. That's what I want.
Right. Well,
and in life.
Okay, so like when we've met, it was over the tragedy of choosing the right.
Oh yeah. But this is what I'm like. So I'm not quite a beginner. I would say I'm like advanced beginner intermediate, but I agonize over everything. So
well, do you think, I mean, okay, so like that's the perfect thing though, because while you agonizing over everything, right, and you second guessing yourself, Stephen is all about like, oh, just have fun with it. You have extra few stitches, just put them together. You don't have enough stitches, just add a couple, like nobody will know. Does that, do you think he changes your perspective of like the knitting world? Do you think he will change you as a knitter?
That definitely is something I actually lean on Stephen for that. So when I listen to him, when he says those words like, you know, say yes,
don't stress.
like you said, don't stress. Yeah, like I'm soaking that up. I'm like, I need to learn this. I need to write this down. So yeah, I definitely share that about Stephen, and I think it's something that I want to, it's part of why I'm attracted to this experience, because of realizing that there's going to be the ongoing videos and encouragement, and yes, his videos are going to show me techniques, but I can go anywhere and look for techniques. That's not the real issue. What I'm hoping for is the feeling that I'm going to get when I'm interacting with, basically being in his energy field on a regular basis during this.
So is that your first ever mystery knit along for Stephen West?
Yes. And all these years I've thought, oh, I don't want to do a mystery knit along. I stress out enough about my knitting. I don't want to do, I mean, I don't even like to do knit-alongs, because I have joined a couple and I never finish them. There's always something else that I'm knitting, and then I would just feel bad that I didn't complete the knit along. And so every year I've seen the mystery knit along and I've thought, oh no, I can't do that because I have other whips that I am supposed to be finishing.
So what changed this year? Like what pushed you over your comfort zone, outside of your comfort zone?
Well, I think it's two things. So one is I follow a lot more on Instagram. So I was actually seeing people putting yarn together. I think I saw the announcement about Stephen's kits and the date was coming. So I was kind of like curious to see what the yarn was going to look like. And so that was that. So it's partly that I just kept seeing people, very easily influenced, seeing the colors and seeing the yarn and being intrigued about the yarn. But the other thing is that this year I somehow got into Wordle. So Wordle, and I don't know if you know Wordle, but a lot of people know Wordle. Yeah, it's a game and you do it every day and it's just like this little puzzle. And there's something about doing a little puzzle every day that it's good for my well-being. It satisfies my brain. And then when it sort of put two and two together, because I found Martin's discussion with you, because I was Googling, or I was looking for hashtags about Westknits MKAL kits.
Right.
And then I found out about the video to kit or not to kit. And I thought, that is the question, right? And so, but in watching that, I heard Martin talk about how he's going to get up really early and keep up and work on it every morning, work on that clue. And I thought that actually appeals to me, because I get behind in my knitting. And when I get behind in it, I get discouraged. I will drop it. I'll pick something else up and it doesn't get finished. So I like the idea of, oh yeah, I could do that. I could get up every day and keep up, because I feel like if I kind of keep up, then I'll have the momentum. But not only that, I thought that would be like a knitting version of Wordle.
Right.
It'd be like, yeah, like what's the puzzle today? What, you know, and you just get that little boost from, oh yeah, I solved that. I completed that.
It's
So
so
yeah,
funny because, you know, like the more people I talk to, the more I realize how all different we are, and different things like attract us to this project, but yet we have so much in common, you know. So it's going to be very interesting to see, like, I mean, there are people who never knitted Stephen West shawls, and they just looking at all this communal excitement and all this sense of like, oh, we're all in it together. And then there are people who've done like every mystery knit along that ever was published, right? And they're like, well, it's like, this is what we do, you know? So I'm like with you actually, because I never knitted mystery knit along.
Oh, wow.
So I've done a few shawls by Stephen West, but I never was part of the mystery because I was like, you know, like, I don't know if I want to, the whole mystery of it. And I don't know if I want to wait for the next clue. Like, I want to start knitting and finish knitting. So it's going to be very interesting for me to see like how I deal with it. And it's going to be very interesting for me to see how you deal with it, because we're coming from like different areas, but so we'll hold each other's hands.
Yes, thank you. I need all the moral support.
Talked about you with yarn dyer who is Australian, but he lives in England, Kaiti, the yarn whisperer. So I actually told him the story that like what you wrote to me, and he said, and I was saying, well, Kieran said that Starflakes looks particularly good with like very contrasting
like
colors.
background thinning.
And he pulled his shawl and it was white on variegated green and it looked spectacular. And he was like, there is nothing that all these shawls will look absolutely spectacular at the end. So I don't think you can make major mistake with Steven designs. And I can't wait to see how your shawl is going to turn out to be.
Thank you.